Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm just going to be doing a handover video on this Frankia luxury class A-class motorhome based on a 2007 3-litre V6 Mercedes chassis. So pretty well as sort of chunky as they get, if you like, when it comes to sort of power. So it's on the 5-ton chassis, and the underneath of the bonnets on these A-classes are, generally speaking, fairly difficult to sort of show you around because they are quite tight, but I'll do my best. So over on the left hand side at the back there, we've got your brake fluid. Engine coolant sits here at the front. Engine oil goes in through there, and your engine oil dipstick is the one next door to that. Air filter sits inside that box at the top there, and your washer fluid sits in the blue topped reservoir over on the right. Rest of it, pretty straightforward stuff. Shouldn't need to do anything with that, to be fair, and it is going for its service tomorrow. Inside this passenger door, the bonnet release handle is the little black one down there, and I will show you through the rest of the cab in a few minutes when we get round to it on the other side. Just whilst we're here as well, we have got an extension lead just down here. This has been fitted aftermarket, so it won't have been checked as part of the habitation check, but it is there if you want to use it. So this is a double skinned motorhome, as you might come to expect, being such a high spec. So you've got this floor down here, and then this huge gap between there and the floor that you actually stand on in the actual motorhome itself. So you get loads and loads of sort of extra insulation, if you like, between the floor and the ground level. Diesel filling point is this one just here behind the passenger door. So we're just staying on the near side now. I'll go right the way to the back, and then I'll go around the other side. So we've got this vent just down here and another one up here. So this one says Aldi, or Alde, however you want to say it, and this one says Truma. So the same company pretty much, and basically because this one's such a large vehicle, it's got two separate heaters. So you've got the Audi heating, which is the one that does the wet central heating, which goes through to the little radiators that I'll show you inside. And you've got this Truma one here, which is basically a separate heater, which I'll show you when we get inside as well. This door just here opens up and gives you access to what looks fairly scary and complicated, but it's really not. This is essentially just your Aldi heating system. So if, you know, this isn't going to be anything that you might do yourself, but if they ever needed any work doing to any of the heating system, then this is where an engineer would go for that. So if you do get any issues with any of this sort of stuff, you can get in touch with us, and we can either sort it for you or point you in the right direction of someone who can. There we go. Any issues with any Audi heating systems, I would always recommend MMM, which is Magic Motorhome Man. Andy there will be able to help you with most issues when it comes to this sort of stuff. But yeah, there you go. So down low, we have also got a couple of things in this lower locker. So this is your steady winder. So if you want to wind down the steadies towards the rear of the vehicle to keep you more stable inside the vehicle, then you've got that winder there. You've got an extension, which the previous owner has left behind. Underneath is your waste drain off point. Now this has got a pipe attached to it, which has basically been put on so that you don't have to drain out in one specific place all the time. You can put the pipe out to somewhere if you can't get exactly over the drain off point. It gives you a bit more flexibility as to where you can drain out your wastewater. And you've got your hookup point just there. So your hookup needs to go in there, and there is an old cable in there if you want to try use that. That's absolutely fine. So carrying on, the last thing on this near side is these two vents just here, and these two are both to do with the fridge. So if you did want to use the fridge on gas, you can normally hear the flame around this area just here. Unfortunately, it's a bit too high to reach to feel the flame coming through there, which you normally can, but you can normally hear it. So if you want to triple check it by actually physically hearing it, then you can do that from there. All right, so I'm just going to walk around the other side now. So as you can imagine, quite a big vehicle, so it's going to be a fairly long video. You can see at the top there I've got the Oyster satellite dish up and it's locked on. TV is working absolutely fine, so I'll just show you that when we get in there as well. So another storage locker down here. The only sort of special thing to point out about this one is that you do have access here to the side of the original seat. So if you ever need to get any of the Mercedes fuses, they are normally behind that cover just there. So that's your original Mercedes stuff, and the jack and wheel brace kit is down there as well. So basically that's just the side of the seat before it was converted into a motorhome essentially. So in here we've got the gas locker. So this is a well, it's like 13 kilo, might be wrong, pretty sure it's 13. It's a propane bottle, and you have got the regulator up there at the back. So to turn these bottles on, go anti-clockwise up, round to the left, and to turn it off, we'll go all the way down clockwise round to the right. Now you've got 2021 date on this pigtail here, so you've got till 26 to replace that. And you have got space in here for 2 of these bottles if you want to, or you could have a pair of 6 kilos, you know, whatever you want really, there's space. Next door to that we've got this locker as well, which again is just more storage really. Yeah, not much to show you in that one. So another lower locker, bit more storage, a couple of toilet fluids left over by the previous owner there as well. So the next locker we're going to get to is this one here, which is your toilet cassette locker. So this is a Thetford toilet cassette. To get this out, we lift up on the little yellow tab and then pull the cassette towards us. That then allows us to pull the entire cassette out. Only other thing to point out from there is that you drain it out from this yellow cap just here, and that when you're actually emptying it out, you should be holding down the little yellow button there. It's basically a pressure relief valve, and it'll make it all a lot easier. You've got a freshwater flush on this particular system, so you will need to make sure that you've got at least a little bit of fresh water in the tank in order to flush that toilet. So yeah, that is that. So as you can probably see, I'll just pop this light on, absolutely easily the biggest garage I've ever seen. I've been here a long time now, but yeah, huge garage. So I'm just going to jump in. So I don't think there's really too much to actually show you, but it just gives me a good chance to point out something. So the silver pipe that you can see going across the top here is essentially the wet central heating piping. All right, so anywhere that you might see any of those silver pipes in the vehicle, or for the same matter, any of these little fittings here, that's to do with the coolant and the Aldi heating system, so they will be hot if you're using it. The rest of it in here is all just kind of spare bits and pieces that the previous owner has left. So you've got a spare wheel and just various bits and pieces that they didn't want to sort of take with them. But we thought, you know, might as well leave these bits in here because they are useful extras to have. So they're all in there. So that is the outside done. So I'll just jump inside now, and the inside's going to take a little bit longer because there are just so many things to run through. The first thing I will say as well is that, you know, if you do come and see the vehicle, you'll know, but it is so much warmer in here than it is out there. I haven't got the heating on. I haven't had the heating on, and it is just so much warmer in here than it is outside. I mean, I wonder if we can see internal and external. There you go. So it's 9 degrees outside and nearly 15 inside. I haven't even had the heating on. So it just goes to show you how much of a difference, you know, decent thick insulation on the ceilings, double insulation of that double skin floor underneath us. It makes such a massive difference. But yeah, right. So you've got the main control panel up here behind this cover over here. So when you're not using it, you can cover that away and you would never know it was there. A little bit of storage next door to it in there. Right, so if I just quickly run you through how this works, it's really simple how it actually works. There are a couple of things that you can get into for sort of like hidden menus and all that sort of stuff, but you don't really need to know any of that, because, you know, it's all working exactly as it should, and there's no reason to change any of the settings on it. So you've got a main 12-volt on and off switch over here. All right, so if I turn this off, it says 12-volt off, and then everything that requires 12 volts has now gone off, including the TV. The only things that might be wired up permanently to the 12 volts so that that won't turn it off is probably going to be the satellite receiver that you can see at the back there, which I'll run you through in a minute. And, you know, see a couple of things like that. So these are like entry lights, you see. So they'll stay on unless you switch them off at the buttons down there. So there are a couple of things that you have to be aware of that will stay on when you turn the 12 volt off, but the majority of things are just going to be permanently off. So if we turn this back on, we get the light come on there. All the time that this little tap symbol is on, that means the water pump is turned on, and it means that you should have water pressure coming through the tap, which we do. Over to the left, just double check that the boiler's full of water. Perfect. Turn it off and just make sure that the pump turns itself off, which it has. Okay, so doing that proves to us, just by putting the water through there and seeing that it's coming through okay on both hot and cold, proves to us that the water is full in the boiler. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and use the boiler exactly as you want to, but I'll get to that in a minute. So that's the main 12 volt on and off switch and the water pump. The next one up, this one here has a little tank symbol on it. That there is showing us the fresh water, and that is the wastewater. All right, so we've got 25% fresh water, half a tank of waste, so I'll drain that out. Next one up is the battery levels. So 12.2 volts in the leisure battery, 12.6 in the engine, and it's showing us saying defect. That's not right. It doesn't need charging. It's just getting a little bit low because it's at 12.2. So anywhere down to about sort of 11 volts is, you know, technically okay, but really it wants to be charged up. So if you could have the hookup plugged into it for a while, or start the engine up for a while, take it for a drive, something like that, that will charge both engine and leisure batteries up. So you've got a split charging system in this particular vehicle, and most decent motorhome brands have got this, but the split charger basically uses the alternator's power from the engine and sends another load of power back to the leisure batteries as well as the fridge, so that all the time that you're driving, the engine is keeping the leisure battery topped up. Okay, next one up is just going to be your timer, as the time and the internal and external temperature and the date. Okay, so that's basically all of your bits and pieces on the left. On the right is all just to do with the menu. So if I press and hold on this one, turn the screen back on, press and hold on menu, it brings up, and that's how you change the time and stuff like that. So time, date, so that was the year, this is the day and month, don't worry about that one, and that's back to it again. Okay, so that's that. The other one, the secret menu, you need a special code to get into it and all that, but so you don't need to do any of that basically, but you just basically, to do that, you press and hold on these top two, and then it'll ask you for a code. Okay, so that's the control panel. Pretty straightforward. The only other thing I need to point out to you, sorry, is if you want to turn the pump on and off, you click the water symbol there and then press OK, and you'll see the pump light coming on and off. So that's basically sending power on and off to the pump. So now if I've turned that water pump switch off, the pump will not run when I lift the tap. All right, so that's how the control panel works. Fairly simple, but that's the first thing I like to sort of run you through. So staying in the same area for now, we've got these two other bits and pieces in here. All right, so this first one here to the right is the electric bed over the cab. So if I show you that, I think that is very, very cool. But there you go. So that's it, just dropping down. I won't go all the way, obviously, because we've got the seats up still at the moment. noisy helicopter going over our heads, wherever that might be. And then we go up again, just so I can show you that working. These aren't the fastest things in the world, but to be fair, you don't really want them to be. You know, they need to take a fair amount of weight. So the brackets are pretty strong and heavy. So that's why they take quite some time. Once it's back up to the top, you have also got a seat belt up here, which you can plug in. That'll just stop it from, you know, ever being able to work its way free when you're driving, basically. And the other one at the top, just here above it, is a fan or like a pump, basically. So if you've got this separate heater on, this one over here, then you need to have this switch turned on as well. And that's it. That's what they do. All right, so still staying in this same sort of area, we've got the heating and hot water system. So this is our main heater, and this is where the hot water comes from. So if we turn it on, it's an Audi Compact 3020. So this is our main sort of home screen. All right, so from here you press menu, and then we can see what we're telling the boiler to do. So at the moment, the heating system is set to 30 degrees, and that's obviously really, really high, but that's just for us to check it working. So let's just say, I mean, we saw on the home screen there, it reckons it's 16.5 degrees. So if I set it to 20, it will come on, and that's it. So that's just setting your temperature. All right. It's not going to come on just yet because I haven't told it to use gas or electric yet, but we'll get to that in a sec. So I've set my temperature. We've then got the hot water system. So if I want the hot water on, I'll choose 1 or 2, and that's basically just low or hot, if you like. So if you have it on 1, it will still get hot, but it's just not quite as hot as the other one. Okay, so that's the heating and the hot water set. So the next bit is the 2 at the bottom here. If you want to have it on the electric hookups, if you're hooked up on the mains, you can select 1, 2 or 3 kilowatt. Now 3 kilowatt, in my opinion, is a ridiculous thing for them to have fitted to them, because they draw like 10 or 11 amps. All right, so if you're plugged into a 10 amp post at a campsite and you choose 3 kilowatt up there, it's just going to trip the fuse straight away, because you're drawing too much power than you have. So 1 or 2 is perfectly powerful. If you want to use it on the mains, just use 1 or 2, I would. Just because, I mean, even if you're plugged into like a 16 amp pole, which is going to be the biggest you're going to be plugged into, if you use that on 3, you've then only got like 5 amps to play with. So you're going to have a few things plugged in, and it's just going to trip. So I just don't see the point. So that's how you use it on the mains. And then if you want to use it on gas, which is what I've got at the moment, you turn the gas light on there. And now, any minute now, the boiler will light up. It will start trying to get the vehicle up to 20 degrees, and it will give us half power hot water. Okay, so that's how that system works. So you just heard the click there of the boiler lighting up. So now it's telling us the heating's going to come on, the fan's on, or the pump, that is, sorry, pumping the hot water around, and then it's just going to show us this internal temperature going up gradually. Now the big plus side to these Audi heating systems is the fact that they stay warmer for a lot longer than your average blown air heating. Now the blown air heaters are great because they get the vans nice and warm really quickly, but when you turn them off, that really is it just goes off straight away, kind of thing. Whereas with these, the radiators physically warm up with hot water, just like a household heating system, and so when you turn it off, it takes for as long as that water takes to cool down for it to actually stop heating the van up. So when you turn it off for the night, it's going to stay warm in here for a good few hours afterwards. So that is how that works. If you want to turn the entire thing off, make sure that you've got both gas and the electric on the off like it is now, and then to switch it completely off, just do that. You can, if you want to, you can press and hold on this and it will come up saying off or something, and it will just completely go off. But that is more than enough. To do that is more than enough. It's not going to drain the battery out or anything. Okay, So that's how you use the heating and hot water system from there. That is your Aldi central heating and hot water. So just on that same sort of topic of heating and hot water, you have also got this other secondary heater, which our habitation engineer did point out to me has vents down in the floor down here, he said. Somewhere. Might be these ones down here. But yeah, so you just basically got a secondary heater because it's such a massive vehicle. You'll probably, in all honesty, you will more than likely find that you'll never use that. And the reason being that Audi heating systems are so good that I never really see the reason for having a separate heater. Some of the older Heimers have got a separate Truma blown air heater in the cab. But even that, I just think it's just pointless because these Audi heating systems they're so good. They get hot so quickly. But yeah, so basically you've got summer and winter on it. It really is as easy as that. So if it's in the summer, you'll just get hot water, and if it's in the winter, you'll get heating and hot water. Easy as that. But as I said, you're more than likely not going to use that because it's a bit... I mean, maybe if you were looking at something that's like, 10 tons and twice this size, then possibly. But for this vehicle, even though it is very big, obviously, I think the Audi system is plenty. But there you go. It's there if you want to use it. Has been turned on and checked. It all works okay. Underneath that, we've got a couple of sockets. So we've got some USB sockets and two 240-volt plugs there. Right, so we've got the 4-burner hob with ignition. So all 4 burners, grill and oven underneath there as well. Just have a little look, make sure I'm not going to miss anything. Okay. So how can I do this in the most easy to follow way? So all right, I'll start towards the front and I'll work my way back then. So what we've got is you've got a satellite dish on the roof, which I pointed out from down on the floor, but you might be able to see it better there. Oyster Vision, and I really can't fault this at all. It's working so well. So what you've got, if I just run you through the whole system, you've got this in here, which is your receiver. So you don't have to do anything with this. All right, the only thing you have to touch is this grey box just here behind the telly. But as I say, this is the receiver. It's not going to be, it's not plugged into this booster here. Doesn't need it. So the booster just here is to do with this manual aerial. Now, because the satellite, I'll be honest, the previous owner did tell us that they hadn't used the satellite and they weren't sure it worked or not. So that was why I think they had this, or somebody has had this fitted at some point. Either that or this was fitted with the vehicle from new, and they've had the satellite fitted aftermarket. I don't know, but either way, you've got both. So if you want to use the tilt and turn aerial, you can wind that, loosen that off, push it up, move it around manually, and you do have to have the booster turned on there. You will then have to use DTV for the signal on the TV rather than satellite, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward to change that on the telly. But if you want to use a satellite, you have got this box at the back just here, which basically what will happen is when you press this little button on the left hand side with a picture of a satellite on it, it'll come up saying open. The satellite will go up and it will spin around a few times trying to find Astra 2. Now when it finds Astra 2, it will stop, it will lock on, and it should just come up saying satellite mode on here, like it is now. Once it's done that and it's locked on, all you need to do from there is find the right TV remote, turn her on, and then we'll see what we've got. We'll see what's going to come on the TV. I think it was BBC 2. Yeah, there you go. All right, but I just thought I'd show you that working. Really, really clear picture. Obviously helps being a good quality telly as well, but that is just me showing you that it's all working properly. This TV unit is very cool as well, where it pushes up like that, and then this comes down as well, so you literally wouldn't even know that was there. So it's very, very clever. And there is a little lever to pull to allow that to come back down. So just whilst we're on that same topic, I will just put the satellite away, press the same button again, and it will say retracting. And you can probably see it happening. It will go around so it's straight and then fold down. So that is working absolutely perfectly. No problem with that at all. So I'll pop that telly right away. And once that's retracted, by the way, you haven't got to turn that power unit off. It will just turn itself off once it's retracted, and then it will come back on again. When you want to put it back up, press the satellite button and it will start to open. Easy as that. In the future as well, just so that you're aware, if you find that, I mean, I can't remember, I think it might be every 10 years or something, which I know is probably quite a way in the future. But if you ever need to recalibrate that system there, because it won't do it automatically, all you have to do is phone Oyster and they'll basically talk you through it over the phone, typing in all the new coordinates. They're so clever there, they're so helpful. And that's it. They'll just talk you through all the new coordinates, tell you what to press, when to do it, all on that little box there that I showed you behind the telly. And then once you've done that, all the new coordinates will be linked up to the satellite and it will lock on correctly. You'll know that you'll need to do that if the only reason you'd ever have to do that is basically if you try and use it one day and it will not lock on. It will just go round and round and round and round and round. And if it does that, just, you know, either give us a ring, we'll point you in the right direction. But normally, if you look online, if that happens, if you look online, people will say it's because it needs recalibrating. I've only ever had to do that once on one vehicle, but it's quite cool actually typing it all in and getting them to tell you all the long numbers. It's yeah, interesting. So next bit to run you through, I am going to run you through we've got various kind of hatches in the floor, which I need to tell you how, or what they do and what they're for. They're basically just for the water tanks, but I'll get to that in a minute. So sink, literally hot and cold, left and right on the sink there. I showed you that earlier, and I've done that one as well. So the fridge is an AES fridge, which stands for Automatic Energy Selection, as you can see there. And I mean, I'll explain to you how it all works, but it's so self-explanatory. When you get the hang of it, it's very, very easy. So what you've got is you've got gas, you've got mains, and you've got 12 volt. Okay, so the gas, self-explanatory. If you've got the gas switched on, you want to use it on the gas, once to the right, and it will light up. That's it. That's all you have to do. Set your temperature. If it's not quite right, you can you can adjust it from there. If you've got the mains cable plugged in, next one over, and it will light up green when it's plugged in. So they are the only two ways that this fridge will get cold by itself. Okay, so if you're coming into the van to go away somewhere, you need to pre-cool it either on the gas or the 240 volt, as they're the only two that will get it cold. The 12 volt, this one here, is only for when your engine is running, and it's basically just to keep the temperature inside the fridge until you get to where you're going. Okay, so for example, if you're going to go on holiday tomorrow morning, I would always recommend coming out to the vehicle the night before you go away, shove all of your stuff that you want to put in the fridge into the fridge, and then either, like I said at the beginning, light it up on gas, or if you've got a hookup cable plugged in, turn it on the hookup, and then by the morning everything will be cold inside the fridge. And then all you have to do when you start the engine up and start driving off, all you have to do is switch over to 12 volt. So that's how the fridge actually works. The auto function is as simple as it will choose one of the energies for you. Okay, and the only reason I tend to sort of explain that part last is because quite often you'll find the auto function will choose the wrong energy for you, and you know that'll end up meaning that your fridge isn't cold. So sometimes you just have to override that and just do it manually, but you know that is what it is really. That's if you want to use it on auto, do so. If not, then you know how to do it otherwise. So that is the fridge. You've got a freezing compartment at the top and a standard fridge section at the bottom. You have got a lock on each one of those as well, which is like a travel lock. Stop them opening up whilst you're driving. Tons of storage up here above the fridge. Not much else to show in there. Okay, so we've got two humongous sort of cupboards, wardrobes here. This first one is pretty important, really. So you've got this here, which is absolutely stacks of paperwork. Okay, now this will run you through absolutely everything that I'm talking about now and so much more. So if there are any things that you might want to read into a little bit further, or I mean, obviously you can get in touch with us about anything, but if you want to take a few minutes out or a few hours out even to read through how some of these things work in detail, then it should all be in there. And also this, which is your coolant. So the heating system itself runs essentially with coolant. Okay, so all of the pipes that I was showing you, all of the radiators that are behind these seats, as you can probably see, maybe not in that one, but the little there's little metal radiators everywhere, which is why everything has a little, see that's got like the holes in it. That's because there's a heater behind there, and that'll be the same with nearly everything in this whole van. So you see the ones there, radiator at the end of the bed, they'll be absolutely everywhere in this vehicle, and that is all fed by this coolant tank. All right, so when the heater's on, you'll probably find that you'll see this bubbling away. All right, so if I just turn this on, actually, I'll just switch it on for a minute just to make sure it's all 100% again. Obviously, we've already gone through it all on the hab check, but so I'll turn the heating up a little bit more. Gas on. Don't want the water on really, so I'll turn that off. Okay. So yeah, like I said, sometimes you'll find that when you have that heater on, you'll find that the water is sort of bubbling away in here. That's absolutely fine, not a problem. But this is where the here and that big locker on the outside that I showed you where the heater is, if you ever need to have that coolant replaced, because I think it does need to be like serviced every sort of 5 years or something like that, or it's recommended anyway, they'll need to get to that. But there you go, that's how that works. That's all that sort of stuff in there. The next one is, again, just more storage. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a van with so much storage in my life. But yeah, there you go. Lots of storage. So the two little hatches in the floor. So what we essentially got is access to, this is the waste tank, I believe, and the access to the other one is going to be the fresh tank. So if you want to drain all your water out, basically what you've got is you've got two drain handles there, one there and one to the left of it. So if you want to drain all your water out, lift those up and it will drain all the water out onto the floor. Equally so, you've got your water pumps in there as well, by the way. Another one here, which gives you access to the top of this, which is the fresh tank. Okay, so taking this cap off is a little bung. So you can drain out the fresh tank manually from that bung, and that'll get rid of absolutely everything, including all the sediment that might be in there. This little bit here is the sensors, which basically tell the control panel what the water level is, and just so that you can see, only because there's one in here, that is what it looks like. This is one for the waste, just in case, but must be an old one, I would have thought. But there you go, that is what that looks like. Right, so I've shown you the fridge, oven, blah, 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 blah. Right, so you've got a separate shower in here. Switch for the light is just there, that is waterproof as well. So again, just hot and cold on the mixer tap there, and we've got twin drains for that. So the idea behind the twin drains is that you can be on any sort of angle and it will always drain out. Behind us, I do need to explain about this this bathroom door. So again, another thing that I've not seen before, the Frankia motorhome itself has really sort of surprised me of how good it is. and sort of how advanced it is. So what we need to do, if you want to do what I'm going to do now, pull this door all the way shut, so you're sort of trapped inside the bathroom, and then you've got this little catch here. When you undo that, it then hinges from here, and if you don't have the step in the way, like I do at the moment, like an idiot. 1 second, let me just move that step out of the way. There you go, this is what it's like with motorhoming. You learn things like this. I clearly haven't after 7 years. Right, so once you got that out of the way, you can shut the door, lock yourself in, and then this door opens all the way up to here and then locks in there. So you've then got this absolutely massive bathroom area that is separate from the front. So if you're sleeping back here, you can still have your steps out there if you know, once you've got the door open. You've got your separate shower, you've got your bathroom here, and it's completely isolated from the front. And I have never seen that before. I've seen clever doors before where they open up and hinge and stuff, but this is, you know, very, very cool. And you can see there, hinges from there. So, pull that back across. And then you can lock it back in position. If you've got two hands, it's a bit easier. There you go. And then that's just your normal bathroom again. So, you know, you would never know that was there. But yeah, there you go. So using this as well, I mean, that, like I showed you a second ago, that is your steps to get up onto the bed. But you can also unlock this little door, and it gives you really easy access into the garage. But the bathroom itself, all you've really got to know, to be fair, is that you've got a little radiator down there, and the hot and cold mixer tap there. The toilet itself does swivel round, the seat does swivel all the way around wherever you want it to go. Blue button at the back here pumps around water into the tank to use as a flush. And then you've got a little grey handle here, which when you push it to the right, drains anything into the cassette. Pull it back, closes that flap back over, and that's it. Super easy. So there is another TV at the very back just here, which there is another separate remote for, obviously. As I say, you've got the radiator there on one end of the bed. Various lights around here. All the joinery in here is brilliant. Again, I can't fault the, you know, the quality of this at all. You've got a little catch just here, which then allows you to close that off. So you can close it off from the bathroom, or you can just close it off from this back end. It's up to you. Push that all the way home, and then just plug that back on so it doesn't open up when you're driving. This is a knife rack, so you can pop your knives onto that. It's magnetic. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just run you through the cab, because I didn't do that at the beginning because I forgot. Right, so in the cab itself, a couple of extra bits and pieces that previous owners left again, but the majority of it I can just run you through quite easily here at the front. So you've got the 6-speed manual gearbox. So reverse to get in these Mercedes is lift up on the back part all the way over to the left and down. That's how you select reverse. You have got a reversing camera over there. You have got heater here in the front, which is to do with that secondary heater that I was saying about. So you can get these coming through to these vents just here, hot, up, down, cold. Nice and easy, you know, simply sort of like does as it says on the tin, if you like. The actual cab itself, sort of like this in the Mercedes side of things, you've got all the steering wheel functionalities on here. Washers and wipers and indicators are on this left-hand stalk here. You've got a cruise control stalk at the back. Lights are on this circular part just here. you got the electric adjusting mirrors and the heated mirrors as well, all on this part just here. Cup holders in a couple of places. Got the big ones just here if you want to use these ones as well. This is the Frankia ones. Stereo works really well. I had it on the way home when I drove it back. The seats are super adjustable. The Isri seats, so you can adjust the back height, the front height, the seat height, you know, everything really. Yeah, so it's got the lot really. It's got air conditioning from this little switch just here. Can have that on without the engine even being on. There you go. So yeah, I think that's about it really. You have got the blinds over the windscreen, so you can loosen those two catches off basically, and that'll pull all the way down. You've also got these ones on the sides, so if you loosen these ones off, they will come all the way across. Blinds at the top just here. Very easy again. Press a little button in on the right to release them, like that. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's about all I can show you in the cab really. The rest, there's probably loads more in the cab, but it's not quite my forte so much. The motorhome side of things is normally what I would go through mainly. Right, so I'm pretty sure that's it really. I don't know if there's much else to sort of run through. So yeah, if you think I've missed anything out, or if you think there's anything you want going over again, or anything at all even, just give us a shout. I'm Jordan, and you know, I'm here 5 days a week, so if you need anything from me, just give me a shout. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.